I'm going to get started just because I know a couple of people said they have appointments and things, so I'll begin. My name's KEVIN DONAHUE. I work for Worcester County District Attorney Joseph Early's office. Just going to give you a little bit background about myself. I was an elementary school teacher for 35 years. I taught third grade for 25 years. In my last 10 years, I was phys ed teacher for pre-K, which is 4-year-olds, to fourth grade, which is like 10, 11-year-old kids. I retired 5 years ago. When I did, I knew I wasn't actually ready to not be working. I was very fortunate. I applied for a part-time job at the DA's office, and I was hired in the community outreach. I went through a training on scams and how to present about scams, but I'm going to say this. Everything kind of goes out the window because what I know today, a lot of it might be different tomorrow. Scams evolve constantly. All right, so I just want you to be aware of that. And as I'm giving the presentation, if you're aware of any scam, someone tried to scam you, or you did fall for a scam, I encourage you to share it, because if we have a conversation about scams that are affecting residents in Auburn, then it decreases the likelihood of other people falling for that same type of scam. All right, and so that is, if nothing else, is what the DA wants this to happen at these presentations, is to create a conversation, a dialogue about the scams that are out there to, like I said, decrease the likelihood of you falling for a scam. Now, with that said, before I even start doing the presentation, I hope it doesn't reboot. You know, I'm always talking about how someone can freeze their credit, or you know, because we're all getting older where we're not taking out loans anymore. And you might not be buying a new car in the near future where you can freeze your credit. I talk about it all the time. I've never done it, okay? Until about a month ago. Because within the last 2 months, I've received 3 notifications of my information being breached. Okay, I was breached through a Harvard Pilgrim, where not only was my name, my birth date, my address and everything, my social security number went along with that breach. Wow. So I got a 2-year identity theft protection from them. It's for free where they monitor your credit for you. And as well, I was also breached through Eversource, and I was also breached through Shields MRI, who I actually went to again yesterday. So, you know, I just want you to realize that everyone's information in here has been breached at one point or another. They might not have all of your information, but they have some of it. UMass Hospital was breached. St. Vincent's Hospital was breached. You know, all the big hospitals in our area have been breached. Okay, so sometimes it happens through breaches. Sometimes it can happen through a disgruntled employee. Someone working for someone, your papers or your documents are right on the counter. With technology today, with these iPhones, click, click, I got all your information. I can pass it on to someone else. So you just have to realize our information is out there, people have it. And sometimes they don't have enough of your information, so you could potentially get a phone call. And like someone might call you and they might say, like, what's your first name?
Teresa.
Teresa? So Teresa, let's say you go to Dr. Smith. So Teresa gets a phone call and they say, can I speak with Teresa? And she says, speak. And they say, hi, Teresa, this is Dr. Smith's office. Now I have your information from a breach. I see that you were in the office on January 23rd because your right knee was bothering you. How's your knee doing? And you say, it's better. Are you still taking the ibuprofen that was prescribed to you? And you're saying, no, you know, I discontinued. That's great. Now, Teresa, while I have you on the phone, I'm just going to update your information. Now, we have the best call number as, and they're going to read the number that they just called you on. And you're going to say, yep, that's correct. And we have your address at, let's say it was 4 Goddard Drive. You'll say, yes, that's correct. And we have your Medicare number at, maybe they have it, so they're going to read it to you. And then they say, we have your last 4 of your social as 2356. Is that correct? And you say, yes. Can you verify your full social security number for me, please?
No.
Now, well, the answer should be no. You should never give any information to anyone who called you. However, they just gave you so much information about yourself that you think you're talking to the doctor's office. And then you share your information with them. Social engineering, they have bits and pieces of you, and now they call you and they're going to try to extract more. Sometimes they'll send it in a phishing email. Okay, it's different ways that they're going to reach out to try to get to you. But they have information, they share that, try to extract a little bit more from you. So we have to really be careful. My rule of thumb is this: my phone rings, I look at it right away. Do I know the number or do I know the contact? If the answer to either of those is no, the phone is down, it goes to voicemail. I'll listen to my voicemail later and I can make an educated decision about whether or not I want to call them back. And if you feel like maybe it was my bank or maybe it was a place I do business with, never use the number that they leave on the phone. Always go to a statement. Find the phone number, call them back from that number and say, someone left a voicemail for me today. They said there was a problem with my bank account. Is that true? And then now that you called them, what do you have to do? I always call it jump through the fiery hoops. They're going to ask you your name. They're going to ask you your account. You're going to have to prove, but at least you know you called the right number. And by calling the right number, you know that you're not talking to a scammer. Because I want you to realize scammers are good at what they do. The DA's analogy is, they don't want to work for a living. They want to stick their hand in your back pocket, take out your wallet, and steal your cash. And that's the bottom line. They're trying to steal either your personal identifying information or they're trying to get your cash from you. Now, before I start here, I have a couple of quick things I want to talk about. We're at the end of October. November is the beginning of shopping season. I always say scammers, the number one way they reach out to seniors is by phone, but the number one way scammers reach out to everyone is through social media. And on social media, during November and the beginning of December, you're going to see all these pop-up sites. And it might say, LL Bean, 50% off today, click this link. Amazon, 30% off, 2 hours, click this link. Never click any of those links on any social media page. Anybody here shop online? Because there's nothing wrong with shopping online. If you shop online, I always say shop at stores that you've always shopped at. Don't go looking for the sales, especially around the holidays, because most of those are scams. And what you're going to get for your money is nothing. I know one guy who bought a $2,000 flat screen television online. He bought this a few years ago, and you know what he got in the mail? A large manila envelope with a picture of a large screen television.
Oh, that's cruel.
That's worse than not getting anything.
It is.
And what online shoppers count on during the holidays is so many people are doing so much shopping that you're not even going to miss an item that you buy. So like if you're buying like a $30 here or $20 there, you might not realize it didn't come in. Now, I always say if you shop at a place like Amazon, they keep a register for you. You can go to your history. You can see where it is, when it's going to be delivered. If you're buying somewhere else, you should always keep a little journal. Where I bought it from, when it's supposed to be getting delivered, and where it's coming from. Is it FedEx? Is it UPS? Is it United Postal Service? So you know. And just realize this, all of those package notifications that we all get through emails and text messages, you have a package pending delivery. Please click this link. There's a problem with your information. Please update it by clicking this link. Those are all scams. And they flew to the top during COVID because everyone was shopping online. Everyone was buying, and so many people started shopping online and they continue it today. I mean, I know a lot of seniors that no longer go into the grocery store. They're buying everything online. They might drive and pick it up, or they might even have it delivered to their homes. It made life easy. But with so many packages going across the country, odds are those package delivery scams work because the odds are everyone in here has a package pending delivery on any given day. Where if you get that, you're very tempted to click it because you're thinking, oh, I wonder if that's from, and you click on the link. When you click that link, you can download malware or spyware on your computer, or the person might be just trying to steal your personal identifying information. They might be telling you that there's an added fee for that package to be delivered. Please add that payment information into it. So there's a lot of things that get added into that equation, and none of them are positive, and those are all scams, so do not click on them. Does anyone have a question about shopping online? Because, like I said, shopping online is safe, but just do it at sites that you know are safe, sites that you've done before. Don't go looking for the sales during the holidays, because there are so many scams that are popping up on the computers. It's one thing when you're looking for the sale in the store, but when you Google something online and you're typing in like, Samsung's television, flat screen, 55-inch, cheap. Scammers pay to be the #1 person to pop up on Google searches. So what's popping up isn't necessarily a legitimate store or a legitimate site. So you just have to realize that. All right, what is a scam? A scam is any means someone's trying to steal your personal identifying information and or your money. And it's not always easy to spot a scammer. The worst thing that can happen is, like, I come in front of you and I'm telling you about a scam I fell for, and then someone on the other side of the room saying, how foolish could he be? How could he have fallen for that scam? Because when you hear that, then nobody else ever wants to share because they're afraid someone's going to laugh, ridicule them. Okay? How many of you have ever watched Shark Tank? I always share. Barbara Kikorian, billionaire, she fell for a scam. She got an email. It said that they had finished working on her property in Germany, and there was an invoice for $300,000. She paid it. After she realized it was a scam because the email was just a couple letters off from the legitimate email, excuse me, she went on social media and she said to the world, hey, look, I fell for this scam. Anyone could fall for it. Now, we might not fall for $300,000, but maybe $300 or maybe $3,000. But her point was, it can happen to anyone. We all live busy lives, and sometimes we're, not paying attention to all of the details, because her thought process is, someone does work for me, when they're done, I pay them. As long as it's the legitimate party. And in that case, like I said, it was a fraudulent email, which means she was scammed. Excuse me. How do you spot a scam? Now, someone was telling me, I forget who it was, there was a woman in the store at CVS. Who was telling me this story? You. There was a woman in CVS and she was on her phone. And the person on the phone is telling her what increment to get the gift cards in. The teller said, can I have your phone, ma'am? She hung up the phone. She said you were being scammed, right? Basically the gist of it. Tellers are trained to do that. Like when I go to health fairs for the DA's office, I always buy a $25 gift card. I always pay with a credit card. Every time I'm paying for it, on the screen it always comes up. It reminds you that scammers are having people buy gift cards for forms of payment. And it's just asking you, are you buying this as a form of payment for someone? If you are, you're potentially being scammed. So you got to be leery of the gift card scams. The check scams, there's a few different check scams out there. The big one is overpayment. I owe you $100. I write you a check for $150. I tell you I made a mistake. Could you give me the difference back? Could you give me $50? So you give me $50 cash. My $150 check is going to bounce on you. You're out the $50 you gave me. And I'm sure you've all heard on the news about the whitewashing that's going on with checks, where if you're mailing a check, it's suggested that you actually bring it into the post office and mail it, and don't put it in a blue box outside, and don't leave it in your mailbox out in front of your home. Because scammers are going through the mail, and they're taking out the checks, and they're able to whitewash who it's being made out to, in the amount, leaving your signature on that check, and they're able to fill them out and cash them. Okay, so if you are mailing any type of checks for the holiday to anyone in your family, it's just advisable to actually bring it into the post office and not put it in the blue boxes out on the sidewalks, and don't leave them in your mailbox out in front. Because when you leave them out in front, you don't know who's going to, it's never advisable if you go away to leave your mail in the mailbox. So it's not advisable to leave a check. Because don't forget, your check is your account number and your routing number on it. Sending money through a wire transfer is just like giving someone cash. So if if someone's telling you you have to wire transfer the money, once you do, it's gone. This is the new one, and most people say that they could never fall for this type of scam because they wouldn't know how to buy cryptocurrency, and I would probably be the guy saying that, but then I'm going to tell you how they get you to fall for it. I know a woman who got a phone call, and she's in her 80s, and so she didn't know how to buy cryptocurrency. The person on the other end of the phone is telling her that her bank account has been breached, and in order to secure her funds, she should withdraw them and buy cryptocurrency. Now, they convinced her of this. Now, we all know if there's a problem with our bank account, our account will be closed and they'll open us a new one. It's going to be safe. But they convinced her, she took it out, they get her to go to a store where there are cryptocurrency machines. Now, I hear that they're everywhere and I never really see them, but I'm not always paying attention. A couple of weeks ago, I was in Stop and Shop in Shrewsbury. Lo and behold, I saw a cryptocurrency machine right in the front of the store. Now, I don't know, do you know if there's one in Auburn, a gas station or anything? Or
there is. I believe there's one at the mall because we actually just had that scam in the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
And the scammer actually kept the person on their cell phone.
Yeah.
While they drove to the mall and then they told them where it was.
Yep, and that's what he just said is exactly, they'll have to go to the bank, they stay on the phone with you, they walk you through to where the ATM is, and then what they gave her was a QR code. And when you scan the QR code, boom, the money is now into their account, it is now gone. So, but you know, it's all stuff that we're thinking we couldn't possibly do, just like, you know, the story that he's saying. However, they walk you through it. They know how to help you, hold your hand and get you there because it's to their benefit. So you just got to be careful and you got to be thinking, you know, why would someone, if my bank account was being breached, why would they have me take my money out and go get cryptocurrency? Why? And if you just take a step back and you think, you'd realize, okay, I'm being scammed. And sometimes they're not giving you the opportunity to take a step back. They want you to be in panic mode, and you have to react, and that's what they're counting on. All right, you know, the gift card scam. I did a presentation pretty much just on gift cards about a month and a half ago, and a woman called me that night after the presentation. She said, "I want to thank you for your presentation." I said, "Now what, you know, what's going on?" And she said, "My cousin just called me about 2 hours ago, and because when I was talking about the gift card scam, I talked about Geek Squad. And because Geek Squad is legit, working for Best Buy, however, there's a lot of scams out there that scammers use using their name. And her cousin got an email saying that her Geek Squad membership was renewed for $199. If she didn't want it renewed, to please call the number below." Now, her cousin doesn't have Geek Squad membership. So, yeah, I don't want it. So she called the number below. And when she called the number, they said, "Oh, no problem. We'll put the money back in your account." They asked her for her account information. When she was all done talking to them, they sent her an invoice showing that they deposited $3,199 into her account. It's not really in her account. If she wouldn't look at her bank account, it wasn't there. But they sent her a notice, and then she gets a phone call back. "We made a mistake. We gave you $3,000 too much. I could lose my job. I need you to get that money back to me immediately. The only way we can resolve this is for you to get gift cards." Her cousin went and bought $3,000 worth of gift cards. And then she scratched them off and she gave the codes, which is what they have you do. And then she immediately called her cousin and said, "Can you believe how foolish Geek Squad is? They put $3,000 extra in my account, and they're lucky I was willing to give it back, you know." And her cousin said, "Did you look at your bank account?" She's, "No, why?" "I guarantee it's not in there." And then she went and looked, and she realized she was being scammed. And her cousin went over right away. They called all the credit card companies, and this is the only time I've ever heard of someone getting all their money back. And she got it all back. All the transactions were impending, and they were all stopped. She was very, very fortunate. But she was fortunate she called a cousin who actually knew of this type of scam. Because another way that they do the Geek Squad is, your name was Tricia, right? I stole your credit card, okay? I'm going to deposit $3,199 into his account. He's actually going to see that it goes to his account because I'm doing it from your credit card. He gets the money. He can look and see it. I'm telling him to give me $3,000 back. He sees the money in his account. He sends it back to me. You're going to realize that your credit card has been breached. You're going to call your credit card company. They're going to remove that $3,199 out of his account. He's going to be out $3,000. So, you know, there are a couple of different ways they do these scams, but the biggest thing is they're counting on people don't even look at their account. You know, your account has been charged $199. If you didn't authorize this, please call them. Hey, I didn't authorize. I call the number. Look at your account. Take a moment before you react, because most of those are scams. And they're just trying to get you to react quickly, and then they're going to get your money or your personal identifying information from you. All right, now these are the top scams reported by age 70 to 79. Business imposter, government imposter, tech support, online, in prizes, sweepstakes, and lotteries. I say they're all imposter scams because I say tech support are people pretending to be tech support. Online shopping, these are imposter sites. In prize, sweepstakes, and lotteries, these are people calling you, pretending to work for a lottery, telling you you won, but there's an upfront charge in order for you to receive your prize. You know, like the guy that won, I think it was $1.6 billion. He didn't have to come up with 800 million in order to receive his 1.6 billion. They take it off the top, and then your money is given. If you want a big prize or a sweepstake, or if you had an inheritance where there were lawyer fees and everything, all that money would be removed first. You wouldn't have to pay it after the fact. But I want $1 million. I only have to give him $20,000 to get it. I mean, I remember reading this story of a retired principal. She was, I think, 81, 82 years old. And someone had reached out to her and they told her that she had won $1 million, but there were all these fees. She paid the first fees. And then because she paid it, they give her some more fees. They never went away. You know, and they kept, finally, she was talking to someone. They said, "You're being scammed." And I forget, she had spent almost her life savings and she was in her 80s. She's never going to recoup that money, but she wasn't doing it for a selfish reason. She was doing it in her mind, all the people in the world that she was going to help with that money. But the money wasn't real. It was, you know, someone just trying to steal her money from her, and with all these upfront charges in order for her to get her prize. First scam I'm going to talk about is the grandparent scam, because the grandparent scam has been very, very active. You know, started on the West Coast, flew right across the United States. It works because grandparents love their grandchildren. You know, I have 8 grandkids now. You know, they're 5 and under. However, you know, if one of them needed help for something, you know, Papa would be there for them, and I'm hoping they would know that as they get older, and that's what scammers are counting on. So you get a phone call, and at the other end, there's a person who's, you know, distraught, they're crying, they're all upset. They say, "Grandma, Grandma." If a woman answers the phone, or if a gentleman answers the phone, it's, "Grandpa, Grandpa, I'm in trouble. I was in an accident. You know, they said it's my fault. It's a Friday night. I'm being held until Monday for my hearing unless I can post bail. Please, Grandma, help me. But please don't tell Mom or Dad." They don't want you to reach out to anyone, because if you reach out to someone's probably going to tell you they're either upstairs in bed or they're off in college, but they're safe and sound. That's how the grandparent scam works. Now, when I say grandparent, I just want you to realize, we call it the grandparent scam. It could be your son or your daughter. It could be a friend. It could be a cousin. It could be someone that's close to you. But most of the time when these grandparents get a phone call, they'll hear a distraught voice, and immediately they'll say, "Is that you, Susie? Is that you, Billy?" You're giving them their name. And when you do that, they got you. Because now they know that you're believing that it's your grandchild. So, you know, I always said, and I've been saying this ever since this scam's been around, that you have to give your grandchildren a password or a passphrase, something where no one else is going to know. Like, you know, I have 8 grandkids. I'm not going to give them all one because I'd never remember. I know that. But even if, you know, if it's like Statue of Liberty, spaghetti meatballs, you name it, something that they're going to know. So, like, if you get that phone call in the middle of the night and you say, "What's the password?" and they say it, then you know that it's them. Because, like, there was one woman from California, she got this phone call. And she said, "Is it you, Susie?" And she said, "Yes." before you know it, she convinced the grandmother to pay her bail. Okay? Now she paid it. And so the next day she gets a phone call. The granddaughter's crying again. Now a gentleman gets on the phone. He identifies himself as a police officer. Then another gentleman gets on. He identifies himself as an attorney. And basically they're all saying that your granddaughter is potentially facing manslaughter charges now because the woman that was driving the car that she hit was pregnant and she has lost her child. And then the attorney, now this all happened a day ago, but the attorney's getting on the phone and he's shooting out a number at her that if you pay this amount of money, everything goes away. However, there's a gag order in effect as well. So you cannot talk to anyone about this. If you do, your granddaughter will be immediately arrested. And so they tell her there's a gag order, and then they actually even give her a lie. They tell her, when you go to get money, if anyone asks why you're getting it, tell them that you are making a real estate transaction. They're giving her all the explanations that you'd ever need. She paid it. And then a few days later, she gets a phone call again, and now it's either you or your granddaughter have violated the gag order. And as a result of this, there's going to be a warrant issued immediately for your granddaughter's arrest, unless you pay the penalty. And she paid it. And then at that point, they realized it was a scam. But you have to realize sometimes a scammer will scam you, takes your money, disappears, move on. Other times a scammer gets you and hey, that was easy. And coming back, I'm going to try and see what else I can get from you. And sometimes they can deplete someone's account. I'm not going to talk about the romance scam because I feel like that one I could talk about in a whole session. But I will say this, the romance scam, does everyone know what the romance scam is? Romance scam is when someone normally reaches out to you through social media, asks you to accept them as a friend, and once you do, they start expressing romantic interest to you real quickly. Okay? And before you know it, they're telling you that they're falling in love, they want to start a new life with you, they want to come and visit you, but their funds are all tied up, or there's a problem with their bank account. Can they borrow money from you? And so you front the money to come, and then when you do, there's an issue. One of their kids gets sick, or their car broke down, they had to use the money for something else, and they just continue to try to take money from you. Okay? There's a detective in Auburn here, Detective Chipman, who was one of my third grade students a long time ago, Keith Chipman, who he worked a case he resolved an issue from a woman from, Carolina, right? Where, I forget how much money that one was. I think it was, did he get her almost $60,000 back? Because I believe that woman was out about $160,000, if I recall the story correctly.
Yeah, he's had a couple of cases.
And yeah, he was able to freeze that account and get that money back for her. But the gentleman who was posing as a person in the military, stationed overseas, but yet the check got deposited in a bank in Auburn, Massachusetts. And the woman's daughter realized they called the Auburn police, and she got a hold of Detective Keith Chipman, who was, I believe, one of the first kids I ever had in third grade. I think it was one of my first third grade classes.
Feel bad for you.
Because Keith is a good kid. And when I read that article, I immediately called the Auburn police and asked to speak with him. And when he got on the phone, I said, "Is this Detective Chipman?" And he said, "Is this Mr. Donahue?" So he knew who I was right off. So I must have one of those voices, but he remembered me, and I don't know if he's a big kid now. I remember he was a skinny kid growing up, but I'm sure, he's making Auburn proud because, like I say, you're saying he worked a couple of those cases now?
He's worked dozens of these. He's had people send money, he's had people put cash in cardboard boxes, ship them to addresses down south.
Oh, well,
They solved. He's had people do the gift cards.
well, the cardboard box, did a courier come to the home to pick it up, or did it?
No, this was actually UPS.
Oh, UPS, okay.
He was able to work with an out-of-state detective. And they were getting dozens of cardboard boxes a day going to one address full of cash.
Yeah, the thing is like, we sit here and you're thinking, how could someone fall for it? Well, someone falls for it because they're believing this person really has a romantic interest in them. They're believing this person really wants to start a new life with them. And romance scams skyrocketed during COVID So, the person was probably home, alone, they're looking for someone to talk to. Next thing you know, they got that ear that's listening to them, and they believe that the person wants to be with them. And before you know it, they're draining out their finances. And there is no real romantic interest. The person might have sent you a picture of a person that's in the military saying that, this is them. But what they did was they saw a picture online, they took a screenshot of it, they make that their profile picture, and it's not them. I could take a picture of an 80-year-old woman, and I could make a profile for myself, and I could reach out to people, asking people if they would accept me as a friend, but I'm not that person. But they don't know that because I'm able to interact through social media, through emails, through text messages. And that's how they get around that face-to-face meeting. Government imposter scams. There's a lot of them. I'm going to mention one about Social Security right now, just because it's already 1:30. I was giving a presentation about 2 months ago, and a woman asked me if I would take a look at a document that she received through the United States Postal Service, okay? So it wasn't through an email, she didn't get it in a text message, it came in her mail. And, we always say, scammers send things to you through email, text message, they're gonna call you. They will use, people always say, well, they won't use the United States Postal Service because they'll get in real trouble for that. And they're breaking the law already. Some of them will send you things through the United States Postal Service. Well, she got this letter, and basically it told her that her Social Security benefits were going to cease immediately as a result of her Social Security number being used in the state of Texas. And it said her number was used for, I don't want to get it wrong, money laundering, theft by deception, and drug trafficking. And at the bottom of it, what was the name? Attorney General for the state of Texas, and it said Ken Paxton. Now, if you look at the top, it had Social Security. If you look up Social Security, everything the way they had it printed on that paper looked like it probably was a memo from Social Security office. And if you look up the Attorney General for the state of Texas, I believe it was Ken Paxton, you're going to see Ken Paxton's name. So I said, okay, that's legit. That, those two items look to be real. She said, well, would you call this number? I said, no. I said, I've heard of way too many scams about Social Security. I'm assuming it's a scam. I said, I would not call that number. I said, I'm doing a presentation that's starting in a few minutes. I said, I'll sit with you afterwards. I have nowhere to go afterwards. I will sit with you and we're going to call Social Security Administration. And we probably got transferred about 4 or 5 different lines. I said, but I want you to realize when I call them, you're going to have to share your information with them because we're calling them. They're going to verify. And make a long story short, her information was not being shut down. But when someone hears you're not going to receive your Social Security check, who here doesn't need it? We all need it. So you go into panic mode, and there was a number on the paper to call. Now, I called that number when I got back to the DA's office. The number was already discontinued. Where many times with papers like that, when they send them out, the number's good for a couple weeks maybe, gone, new number that comes out. Okay? I've heard of a lot of different Social Security scams. Now, let's move forward. Medicare, open enrollment. There will be so many scams out there revolving around that. What is it, October 15th to December 7th, I believe? So, if you receive an email, you receive a text message, you receive a phone call, don't bite on anyone, okay? If you need help with it, you come in here, you see the people at Auburn Senior Center, you say, can you hook me up with someone who can help me with my plan? And the answer will be yes, they'll help you. If someone's reaching out to you who you don't know out of the blue, don't accept it because the majority of them are scams. And, even a lot of the info commercials you see on television, many of them are misleading. I can't believe some of the actors that do that because they're very well off to begin with, and yet they're misleading many people, and people are thinking that they're legit. They're not. So just make sure, you know the coverage you have, and you know the doctors you have. And you want to make sure if you're going to switch your plan, you still have at least the same coverage, and you can still see the same doctors. So, you always want to sit with someone you can trust, and it's not someone who's reaching out to you out of the blue. The email phishing scams, there are so many of those. most of them revolve around large businesses, like Amazon. It could be Santana Bank. It could be Bank of America. They're using big names because we shop at those stores. We bank at those places. They're not going to use a small bank's name because then if they send out 1,000 of those, they might not have anyone that even uses that bank. You know, I've been receiving quite a few of them from a hardware store that very popular chain, Ace. Now, Ace isn't the one sending them out. It's scammers. It'll say Ace Hardware. You know, I have won a 171 socket piece set. Please click the link below. Well, if you want to click that link below, trust me, you didn't win the socket set, but you're going to be sharing your information with someone else. There are so many of those scams. You know, you won. And how did I win? You know, and like, the thing is I do shop at Ace. So, you know, and if someone shops at Ace and they see that one of these come in, they might think, oh, that's legit. They're not. Don't click. These email phishing scams are huge. Once you click on that link, they can download malware or spyware on your computer. Now, if they download spyware on your computer, they can see everything that you do, all the passwords that you're saving. They can get into your computer and see it all. Okay, so when you're clicking on a link, you want to make sure, if you do, that you really know who it came from. So like, you know, like if you have kids and they sent you an album of your grandchildren and it's in that link, but they told you they were sending it, say, you know, if I get something, most of the time I call someone, I say, hey, did you just send me that link? If they say yes, then I'll open it. I don't trust because, you know, so many things are preached. Like I have 6 sisters. I had a brother. My sister Pauline, I'm friends with her online. What was it? Last week, I believe, I got a friend request from my sister Pauline. So I sent her a little message saying, you know, you've been hacked. They hack into someone's account and then they reach out to all of their contacts. They get all of these people's information and they get bits and pieces about everyone through all these different emails. Or I hack into my sister Pauline's email and let's say I reach out to all of her contacts and I'm telling you how I've fallen on some bad luck. I'm going through some treatments. I need some money. You know, could you please help? And then I, you know, give them a means in which they could send me the money. You know, I was talking to a person at the DA's office today, and I believe someone in here mentioned it as well. They were talking about, you know, someone saying that they've had somebody who passed away in a family, and they have articles for sale, but yet they never show you a picture of the old article. It's always brand new. They're showing you a brand new grill or a brand new table. They're telling you, you know, it's valued at $1,000. You can get it for $200. You know, just, you know, all you gotta do is send me the money. You gotta be careful with who you're buying things from online, and you just gotta realize that a lot of people's information does get breached, and if someone's reaching out to you through an email, like through the DA's office, I don't want to be the guy that ever clicks on a link and lets a virus in the computer system shut down. Because even every now and then we have to go through trainings, and I get this email, and I never respond to it. I looked at it and I'm thinking, I'm going to look into it tomorrow or whatever, and I forgot about it. And I got one a few weeks later, and it's telling me I have to take a training. And I'm thinking, I know we do it through KEVIN, but I'm not sure. So I called my boss. I said, hey, Don, I just got this email. Are we doing more trainings? He said, yes, it's legit. So then I'll click on it. Like I said, I'm the guy that goes out and does presentation on scams. I don't want to be the one that downloads some virus into the DA's office, because they happen everywhere. Government agencies have been shut down. Police stations, you name it. They've all been shut down. And you can't get Geek Squad to come in and remedy the problem. You have to pay the ransom in order to be able to get your computers back. And when you do, you don't know what information they've already taken from your system to begin with. Now this is an email I got from Amazon last November. As a new Amazon regulation, we need to ask our customers to update their account information in order to continue using Amazon shopping. And then it said update here. That was a link you could click. And then it said, if the customer does not update their account information within the next 24 hours, your Amazon account will be permanently closed. Amazon ID 934308. Why put an ID number? Makes it look official. Okay? Now, I don't have Amazon, so I knew it was a scam to begin with. However, this came in November. They're telling you your account's going to get closed if you don't act within 24 hours. They know they're going to get a lot of people to click that link because people are doing their Christmas shopping and they don't want not to be able to do it. They're going to click the link. So, things like this. For one thing, if you don't have that account, it's a scam. Now, I don't have it. My wife has Amazon. I don't. But even if I did, I wouldn't click on the link. If someone ever reaches out to me out of the blue and is telling me there's a problem with my account, I'm going to look at a statement I have, and I'm going to call that number, and I'm going to say, hey, I just got an email that said there's a problem with my account. Is this true? Then I'm going to let them tell me if it's true or not. Now, the other one was when I got from my bank. I shop at Bank at Santana, so it did say Santana Bank. Verify your Santana online account to resume full access. Now, then it gave me that link. At the top, it told me there was suspicious activity with my bank account, and my account had been frozen. Now, I do sometimes go online to check my information. So I went online, I moved $1 from my savings to my checking. Now frozen. Moved $1 from my checking. Savings to checking, then I did checkings to savings. It worked. At that point, I did call Santana Bank, and I told them about the email, and they actually had me forward the email to them because most businesses, most banks, they want to know about the scams that are out there revolving around the name. And most of them will share it on their webpage. Now, do we all go to their webpages looking for the scams? No. But they are, at least, they're making an effort where they do put them out there. Medicare scams and fraud. I basically told you, we're in open enrollment now, but there's another popular one that happens. Someone gets a phone call, and the person tells them they're with Medicare, and that, Medicare has a surplus of knee braces, elbow braces. They're free. Would you like one? Now, what senior doesn't have sore knees and sore elbows? I'll take 2 elbows, 2 knees. Okay? They're free. However, what do they want? Your Medicare card number. Now, so then you give them your card number. Maybe they'll send you a product. Maybe they won't. Okay? But what you have to realize is, anytime you're getting any type of piece of apparatus using your Medicare, you might be closing off on a quota. That, like, if you get a walker, you can't just keep getting walkers. You get one, that's it, for a period of time before they're ever going to let you get another one where they're going to reimburse. There are fraudulent people that will reach out to you, and they're going to try to convince you that they're with Medicare or whatever, and then they're going to try to bill Medicare for a piece of equipment. And it's going to show on your statement. So if you ever see anything showing on your health statement, your medical statements, you should question it immediately if you did not receive that service or you did not receive that product. Because if down the road someone purchased a wheelchair or a walker using my information, then I need one, I could be denied. And then at that point, I'm going to have to be able to prove that I'm not the person who actually got that one. And realize this, Medicare isn't in the practice of paying for any piece of apparatus for you unless you first have gone to a doctor and the doctor has written a script. So if someone's calling you, telling you qualify for a free piece of apparatus, red flags should be popping up because you haven't seen a doctor, and how does this person know that you qualify? Okay, and those are the bottom line. These scammers just want to get you to believe that there's something out there for free for you, but it's for free, but I need your Medicare number. So it's really not for free. And once they get your Medicare number, maybe they had your full name, but now they're going to be asking your address. They're going to ask you for all your personal identifying information, anything that they can extract from you. All right, charity and disaster relief donations. The DA believes that if someone calls you, do not make any donation over the phone. Don't act in haste. Like, Auburn police are not calling you over the phone asking you for a donation. Auburn Fire is not calling you. And if you ever have money where you want to make a donation to the Auburn Police or Auburn Fire, call them and just say, hey, look, I have some extra money. I was looking to make a donation. How can I go about doing it? Because there's national agencies that are calling that Auburn Police probably ain't getting anything out of. And there are people who are pretending to be with Auburn Police, and they'll tell you, leave your money on your porch, in your screen door, in your mailbox. We're going to come and we're going to pick it up.
Oh, good.
All things that no police officers ever going to be telling you, leave some money on your porch. It'll be safe. We'll come and get it later. Okay, but yet, it's a popular scam. Okay?
So we've actually had some reputable companies or charitable companies that often can represent legitimate businesses to solicit money. And the scammers portray these
Companies
reputable
that-
companies, and then they drop Auburn Police, Auburn Fire, or they drop Douglas Police, Douglas Fire, because they know people are more likely to make a donation. And these scams can go on for months, and we may not even know about
Yeah.
it. So, and that's any town, any city.
Just realize, scammers, that scam's popular. Scammers follow the headlines. What's going on in Israel now? Scams popped up immediately for that. Okay? Money for widows, money for the children. Anytime there's any natural disaster, anything, scammers are on top of it. We had a police officer that drowned in the city of Worcester, okay, saving a couple of children. Well, that same day, scammers are out raising money. It happens. You got to realize, you always want to take a step back. You want to make sure that it is a legit charity, where the money's going. Don't act in haste. Okay, you just want to be able to think about it. And, there are sites you can go on, like Give.org, Charity Navigator, Wise Giving. They rate the charity A+F. You donate $1, 5 cents goes to that charity. You donate $1, $1 goes to that charity. You want to know how much money is actually going to the charity. And if you can't find the charity in one of these sites, I would think twice. And I'm not saying it doesn't mean that it couldn't be legit, but I would think twice about donating. I would always if you don't know, contact Better Business Bureau, okay? And you can also Google it. You Google whatever the name is and you put scams, see what pops up. Because you'd be surprised, you just add that word scam, other people have already written about it, and it's out there. So you just always want to be safe, because if you're going to donate any money, you want to make sure the money's going to the cause that you want it to go to. The computer repair, I think I mentioned it at the beginning. Like when I was teaching, I was in my 40s, there was a pop-up that came on my computer, and that night when I was working, the computer seemed like there was an issue with it, okay? And all of a sudden, I got a pop-up and it said, Microsoft Office has detected X amount of viruses on my computer, please call this number. I fell for it. I called the number. And once I called the number, the person has me go to a particular site, and he's almost had remote access to my computer. All of a sudden, I'm thinking to myself, am I making a mistake? And this was when we all had to plug into the wall because nothing was wireless. I pulled all my plugs out. I brought it to school. I gave it to this gentleman, Mike Sullivan, who always would fix my computers for me. I'd rather bring it to somebody I know and pay them versus someone I don't. And he said, you're lucky you shut it down when you did. But if you ever get a pop-up and it says, Microsoft has detected, 10 viruses on your computer, please call this number, that's a scam. If you ever get a pop-up and it says, you have 3 viruses on your computer, please run your virus protection. Well, you pay for a virus protection, you probably don't have it on auto run, and it's telling you to run it. That's not a scam. It's not giving you a number to run, to call. It's just telling you, hey, run this to clean up your computer. They're different. The ones that have a phone number, they're scams. They're trying to get you into your computer, and then they're trying to get you to pay them for a service that they're really not doing. They just hacked into your computer, and now they're convincing you that you have a virus. I did mention this at the beginning of the sweepstakes lotteries. Just remember, if someone's ever reaching out to you and they're telling you you won something, but in order to get it, there's an upfront charge, red flag should go off. I won, but yet I have to pay? Doesn't make sense. Okay, that goes along with the inheritances and everything else. Someone saying you inherited money from a long lost relative, but there are legal fees, all these attorney fees associated with it. You have to pay those in order to get the money. No, those should be removed from what would be coming to you, and then you would get the remainder. You'd get the balance. Okay, this is going to be the last one I'm going to talk to you about. It's the door-to-door step scam, and my mother fell for this. My mother, I always say, was sharp as a tack. I'd say she could smell a scam coming a mile away, if that's possible. All right. My mother had a series of strokes. She ended up in the hospital. My brother was very handy. He took out a window, put a door, made a handicap ramp going right down into her driveway. And when she came home from the hospital, she was able to get back into her own home. I had 6 sisters, and between me and my brother, we're all in and out of the house. The doctor said, she didn't need around-the-clock care, but she did need care. So, like there was never more than like an hour or so where someone wasn't in the home with her. Well, this one day she gets a knock on her door. And there's 2 gentlemen there, and they're telling her they're doing driveways in the neighborhood, and they noticed a crack in her driveway, and they noticed the ramp. And they would feel awful if her wheelchair tipped over and she got hurt. So as a result of that, they're going to give her a great deal. Now, my mother lets them in the home. They're in there, they come up with an agreement on whatever the price was, I don't know. At that point, my mother tells him that she's unable to write a check because she can't write anymore. Okay, I believe my sister Pauline was in charge of all check writing at that point. So the gentleman tells her, don't worry about it, just give him a check, and he'll take care of it. So he goes off to her bank, and he writes out the check. But he wrote it for more money than she had in her account, because he went to a bank where you're going to be drawing that money, but you can cash it. Comes back, he tells my mother he made a mistake on the check, he rips it up in front of her. He gets another one, he goes to another branch, he's able to cash it, he goes on his way. Now I show up at my mother's house, and there's little pile of tar in the driveway, just like a shovel load. They didn't fill in any crack, they didn't do anything. They just threw something down and they went on their way. And just so I asked my mother what's going on. She said, "Oh, these nice gentlemen were going to fix her driveway and everything." I said, "Did you let him in the house?" And I found out she gave him a check, everything. I called the Worcester Police, and I have quite a few cousins that were Worcester police officers, and one of them showed up, and basically, he referred to them as gypsies. He said, the odds of them catching them are very good, and we never did catch the person. My mother was fortunate 2 ways. 1, she wasn't hurt when she let those 2 people in her house. 2, she never signed a check. So that check was forged. The bank put the money back into her account as a result of her being scammed. All right? But she let them in her home. And, I tried to explain that to her, and I'm not sure, with the stroke, if she really understood that. But there have been so many scammers going around door to door. Electricity skyrocketed over a year ago. When that happened, people were going knocking door to door, pretending they worked for Eversource on National Grid. They had polo shirts. They had little badges they printed off. And they would tell you that they're with National Grid or with Eversource. And just for you speaking to me today, I'm going to take $60 off your electricity bill. Sounds great. So then one of them would ask the homeowner if you could show them to where the electric panel box is. And that's usually downstairs in your basement. So the homeowner brings one of them downstairs to the basement. The other one's upstairs, cases the home, steals your money, steals your jewelry, and potentially cases the home to come back to take other items. So, the thing is, if someone ever shows up at your door unannounced, you don't let them in. And are they even registered with your town to be peddling, going door to door? Call the local police and just let them know, hey, there's some gentlemen on my street, they're saying they're with National Grid. I don't believe they are, and they're knocking on doors. Let them know. And, worst case scenario, if they show up and they find out they are legit, well, then they're legit. But don't let them in, because anyone can print a badge. And I'm going to say that I don't know what the National Grid badge looks like. I don't think anybody here does. And, anyone can print out polo shirts. They can do them in their own garages. They can make shirts look anything that they want to look like. So we just always have to be on our guard where, I always go backwards in time. I remember when I was a kid. Now, I grew up in a tough street. I grew up on Canterbury Street in Worcester. We never locked the door at night. In the summertime, we let the cool air blow through the screen door because we didn't have air conditioners. That was how you cooled off. Today, I would never suggest that. Lock the doors. I mean, I sold our house in Worcester, and I basically lived down the Cape 3 or 4 days a week, and then I come to an in-law and my daughter's in Shrewsbury for my other 3 days. And my daughter Megan was at my house down the Cape, and I painted the front door. And she's going to bed. She went to close the door. I said, Megan, you can't close it to it. She said, why not? I said, it's going to get stuck. I said, I'm not going to have mark all around the outside of my door. And she's, well, Dad, are you going to sleep on the couch? I said, I wasn't planning on lock, I said, fine, I'll stay on the couch if that makes you feel safe. But it's like, I still feel like you should be able to live that way. But the reality is that we don't. We don't trust as much. But I want you to realize the odds of you getting robbed at your home are slim compared to technology. And I'm sure local police would probably reinforce that. I don't know. How do you feel on that one? Because that's what the statistics prove.
I don't know the exact numbers, but I think we take many, many, many more scam reports than houses that were broken into.
And I'm glad to hear you just said that you take them, because I've heard, a few different places I've been where they say, someone calls and about a scam report, but we don't take them. Because I always say, like, if you've been scammed, right, and you're going to file afterwards with the FTC, you want to be able to say, hey, I called the police. I jumped through my hoops. Because if you file with the FTC and then they follow through on yours because, let's say, thousands of other people fall for that scam, you might be getting some money coming back in the long run. But if you're one of those people where you don't do anything, you say, there's nothing they can do, well then, if someone is brought to court and they have to make retribution to people that they've deceived, you're not going to be one of those people receiving any funds because you're just sitting back saying, it never will happen. Does it happen all the time? No, but it does happen. So, we got to, reach out. And when I started talking to you earlier about freezing accounts, I was telling you I did freeze mine, and I realized I don't think I ever finished that. It took me about 20 minutes for me and my wife to freeze our credit on all three. Because when you freeze your credit, you have to call each of them. If you have a fraud alert, all you have to call is either Equifax, TransUnion, or Experian. You call one, and the fraud report will be put on all three of yours. But if you want to freeze your credit, which means no one can take out a new loan using your information. Doesn't mean they can't hack into your credit card or get into your bank, but they can't take out any new loans using your information. Because you have to realize people do that. And I froze all mine after I realized my information's like, I knew it's there, but then all of a sudden 3 letters within a month and a half, that was kind of, as a senior myself, I don't have all these different apps. Like my kids have an app for everything, and those apps are connected to a form of payment. And they all end up going back to their bank account or their credit card. And like my daughter Erin, who does very well, her credit card has been breached I don't know how many times. And I would say, why do you have so many apps? If you're going to go through a Dunkin' Donuts or a Starbucks, why can't you? It's just as easy to hold your phone or here's your credit card, or here's my cash. Why do you need to have all the apps? Every time you open up something else where you're attaching an account, it's just another way that you could potentially be breached. Not that they're not safe, but it just opens up another avenue where your information could be stolen. Does anyone have a question? Anything or any scam that you're familiar with that I didn't mention?
Could I just add one?
You can add one.
Yeah. So in the last week, I've got 2 different emails, one from Amazon, one from another pretending to be UPS.
Yeah.
Saying there's a problem with your package.
Okay, yeah.
Call this number to verify the information. And I think that's a good one to look out for because we're approaching shopping season. and everyone's wondering, when's my package gonna get here, when's it gonna get here?
Yeah,
And you mentioned that these scammers, they cut and paste pictures of Amazon or pictures.
oh,
of
they can
FedEx
have
or
it every, yeah.
UPS. And the average person is likely to click on that email or click on the link because you're worried about your package not coming. But it's just something to look out for in your emails, that's a good scam they're doing right now because you're very overwhelmed with the holidays because we're busy. There's no I've never heard of UPS contacting anybody if your package
No,
is gonna be
your
late.
your package will just end up back at UPS, and
Correct.
if they try to deliver it to your home, you're gonna get a tag, and it's gonna be off. Now, with that said, when I mentioned that package delivery, like I said, that scam skyrocketed as a result of COVID because everyone shops online, and then this time of year, it's always. Think of how many millions of packages are going across the United States. And everyone's got one pending. So you get that email, you get the phone call, you get however they want to contact you, and you're thinking, oh, it's my package. And that's how they're going to get you. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I'll just tell a story. I got ghosted on Facebook. I clicked on a link somewhere in the past. It wasn't from Facebook. And somehow I must have entered some of my information. So then the scammers opened up a second me, a ghost me. And then they got my contacts. So some of my family members gave information. Then they were getting scammed. And then they were mad at me. But if you want to go to Facebook, you should probably go to Facebook yourself. Don't click on a link from somebody else to get you to Facebook. But if you get ghosted, you're supposed to be able to remove and report it to Facebook, and I tried and failed. But there was something in the Sunday
Yeah.
paper a few weeks ago about how to correct the ghost account.
Yeah, I would reach out to them again, just see if they'll help you, because they should help you with it. But I did mention with Facebook, once they hack into an account, they're basically trying to steal your contacts. And then, like I said, they can tell you, they can reach out to those contacts and you fall out of luck.
Yeah.
Could you help me? Anything. They can send, or they can send out a different message, and they're asking them to cut and paste it instead of sharing. Now, I was reading about this the other day. When they cut and paste, the original sender can delete his, but the cut and paste will stay. But if you share and the original sender deletes his post, then it goes away. So you always have to be careful what you're sharing. And is it really from the party I'm thinking it's coming from? Because, like someone, what's your first name?
Wilfred.
Okay, Will, it's got his ghost, and they're sending out about a lost dog in the town of Auburn. The whole thing's a scam. But we're asking everyone else to repost and reshare, and there's all a scam. But the scammer is able to get everyone else's information, and then maybe they're gonna actually, reach out. The dog was found, but they're just trying to get information, and they're trying to get people to share posts that aren't legit. So you got to be careful. Don't share anything unless you really know who it came from. Because, you go on Facebook and there's a game that will say, where were you in 1972? Now you're sharing where you were, what school you're giving your information away. And people don't realize those aren't games. Those are means to steal your information.
There also lead to what your probable passwords are gonna be.
Yeah, right. What kind of car did you drive? Camaro, 1977. Oh, all this different things that you're sharing.
They all aim towards your security questions.
But yet everyone thinks it's, they're playing a game. And, oh, isn't this cool? And then they share it for all their friends to play. And then everyone's information could potentially get breached. I thank everyone that came.
Thanks.
Have a good day. Hopefully you go over the time.
No, that's fine.